Hello everybody, this is SMK here again with another video about Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2. And today's question is, what is the deal with spiky hair for Super Saiyan created characters? I have seen this pop up left and right all the time and in comment sections of other YouTube videos and everywhere pretty much. So let's talk about the problem for those who don't know. First of all, the problem in Dragon Ball Xenoverse 1 was that when you created a Saiyan character and they went Super Saiyan and you had a hairstyle that wasn't spiky, it didn't spike up. So the most common example people use is Android 17's hairstyle, which is the long hair, and it never spikes up when you go Super Saiyan. It stays the same. It's the same model. And so this bothers people, rightfully so. Of course, that would bother people, that kind of problem with that particular hairstyle. But the reason why it blew up so much from that is because people even if it's not that hairstyle, it's every hairstyle they want it to be that way. They want it to spike up when you go Super Saiyan. It makes sense because that's what happened in the series. Every character had their hair, for the most part, kind of spike up. There's a couple of instances where that's not the case, though. Like, say, Gohan from the Cell Saga, he kept, his Super Saiyan hair stayed the same, but his Super Saiyan 2 hair is when it spiked up like crazy. So, there's some instances in the series where it's not even consistent in that way, where, like, not every hairstyle will spike up. And then so people bring up this other game that did custom created characters way back in 2011. It's this little game, I don't know if you've heard of it before, you probably have. It's called Dragon Ball Z Ultimate Tenkaichi. And that game basically was a very watered-down game. It was just rock, paper, scissors based, and so they had to create a character in that game for the first time. And they obviously put a lot more of their time and manpower into that create a character thing because they created this whole story mode based around it. Your character even had their own lines to speak. And so people commonly use Ultimate Tenkaichi's created character as an example, or like a way to say there's no excuse. If Ultimate Tenkaichi could do it, so can you. The reason why that's a bad comparison or bad example is because Ultimate Tenkaichi, like I said, it was a rock paper scissors based game. So they barely had to wrestle with their project management in the sense that they could dedicate a lot more people to the created character system because the gameplay didn't need as much of their attention. The modelers, and not just that, not only from the project management side of things, but also because the created character system in that game was very limited. It was only Saiyans, and you had very few hairstyles to choose from, and you had very few outfits to choose from, and more. It was just way limited compared to Xenoverse 1. Like, it's hilarious that people make this comparison because it's not even in the same league. The content between the two games is completely different. It's a world of apart. Like, Xenoverse 1 has so much more content in it than Ultimate Tenkaichi that it makes sense why they wouldn't have been able to have spiky hair for Super Saiyans. Why they weren't able to dedicate any of their resources to doing that. Which would be people actually working on creating models for that hairstyle and animating it and stuff like that. Hold back Xenoverse 1. But that's kind of like, sort of like, well, Ultimate Tenkaichi was able to do it, blah, blah, blah. Again, it's all because Ultimate Tenkaichi was focused on quality over quantity, in the sense that they decided to focus on a set limited amount of things for their character creator. They chose to only allow you to make Saiyans, only make males. You had only a few hairstyles to select from. You weren't able to get rid of your Saiyan tail. You didn't have the option to have a tail or to not have a tail, that kind of thing. So it was all just very limited and allowed them to focus on those details. So then what makes Super Saiyan spiky hair so hard, quote-unquote, for DIMPs? Well, it boils down to two things. One, project management. There are a lot of people working on various parts of this game, and they need all hands on deck for their 3D modelers to create new assets. I guarantee you that Hub City, Kanton City, that probably took all their 3D modelers away just to work on that for like a couple of weeks, months, whatever. You know, because they say it's 7 times bigger. That's a lot of people you need working on that. Then the other part of it, aside from, you know, members of the team being designated to work on other things, basically to create spiky Super Saiyan hair, they need to create a second model for that hairstyle. And that hairstyle needs to then be loaded when they transform into that, in that form. So the latter isn't hard, it's the former that is. Because depending on how many hairstyles they have that aren't spiky, they need to do 2 times the work to create those spikier versions of that hairstyle. So whether or not that will actually, happen in this next game is up in the air, because it's going to depend on how many new hairstyles they add to the game, plus if they're even going to take the existing hairstyles from Xenoverse 1. You know, you could argue like that they could skirt around this issue by creating spiky hair like they did in the first game, where there's some spiky hairs that aren't going to need to spike up anymore. So that's one way they could get around this issue. Another solution is to just, go ahead and pick hairstyles that obviously need to spike up, like Android 17's hairstyle, and make a model that will spike up when they go Super Saiyan. Or they can just, reduce the workload and not do it at all again. Because personally, in my opinion, spiky hair for Super Saiyans doesn't make or break the game. It's not important. It's just a really minor detail that will take a lot of work for them to put into the game. And people have been very loud about it, but to me, it's not as big of a deal. And I think they would be fine in not doing it again. If they do it, though, great. I'm happy for you guys, and I hope that, hey, maybe they will do it. So that's pretty much my spiel on this. That's pretty much all I have to say on it. If you liked what you heard, or if you disagree with me, you can sound off in the comments below. You can like my video, and you can subscribe, because like I said, I'm going to be doing all kinds of videos on Xenoverse 2. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.